Camera, that's easy. Okay, for a second. We're good. We good. Okay. Hello there, this is Jerry Diamond with How to Get Out of Babylon. I'm in my recording studio. Facebook does this stupid stuff about Jerry Diamond, or Jeremiah Elliott started a new job at Ozark Refugee Relocation Association headquarters. Everybody goes, where's your job at? I'm like, how can somebody that knows me ask that kind of question? Facebook made up the thing about starting a job. I started the whole thing. It was a refugee relocation, Ozark Plateau Refugium Relocation Association headquarters, Oprah with 3 R's. Ozark Plateau Remnant Relocation Refugium headquarters. Because this is the refugium, okay? Where I'm at is the headquarters. It's not a job, it's my life, for crying out loud. Get it straight. Okay, we're going to talk about that. I did a video on the Ozark Area Community Congress and then the Crestone Energy Fair. And at the end of it, I just started a little harangue, a little diatribe, rant, soapbox. So, I want to get into that again. Gotta get me some water. Hang on. I can't pause this. Okay, don't worry about it. Okay. If you want to leave a stupid comment about how unprofessional I am, go ahead. Try having a heart attack and a stroke and going through being homeless for 5 years. See how you feel. Okay, here we go. So my rant is that there's people around the country that are being sustainable. They're experts. They study everything. They do everything perfect. They're growing their garden. They're collecting water. But they're doing it in a place that they're going to be dead in a couple years. They're not going to be able to survive. They're not going to be able to hold the land. They're going to be fleeing as refugees, and there's only going to be one place they can go, and that's here. Mark my words. Everything that I've said, everything that I've predicted, everything that I've seen, envisioned is going to happen, good and bad. And as my granddaughter Sarah said, Grandpa, you beat yourself up too much over this. Jesus said when the Tower of Siloam fell, it fell on the just and the unjust. She said, when judgment falls, bad people die, but good people die also. They were good people, Grandpa. They were just dumb people. What insight, what beauty, what awesome statement. Okay. So, in my book, I wrote a poem. I didn't write the poem in the book. I wrote the poem and I put it in the book. And it was written at Pentecost. Feast days are critically important. They are times for new truth and for the Holy Spirit to come into your life. Because the giving of the Holy Spirit, the acts, the upper room and all that, tongues, outpouring of the Holy Spirit that will change the world, turn the world upside down, was on the day of Pentecost. And the day of Pentecost is the giving of the law. And what happened on the day of Pentecost is the law was written in their hearts. If you think you're a Torah observant and the law is not written in your heart, you're lost. You're not going to be saved. You're not going to end up in heaven. You're not going to go where you think you're going to go. You may go to the other place. If you don't have the Holy Spirit, if you don't have Jesus Christ living in your heart, you can keep Torah till hell freezes over, and you'll be in hell and it won't be frozen. All right, rant number 1. Rant number 2. I'm going to read this, but I'm not going to read it right now. I'm going to minimize the picture, screenshot this, and memorize it. Okay, I'm going to center this, take a screenshot of that, so you can blow it up, turn it sideways, make it bigger, like this. Oh, come on. There you go. Is it going to work? Yeah. Show more. Come on. All right, there you go. You can do that and you can make it even bigger. Okay. Moving right along. Sorry for the wonderful camera work and making you seasick. Sorry about that. This poem is prophetic. I mean, it's amazing. The second stanza. Yea, it would be wise to heed the writing on the wall. Relocate our families before the empire's fall. That's what I did. I did it twice. I relocated my family to Kansas I relocated my family to Missouri. When I went to Kansas, I didn't have any money at all. Did not have a job. Had a place to stay in a schoolhouse in a classroom. But 4 years later, we moved to Missouri, and I had a job, but I had a place to live. We moved in a cob house for a year, and now we have 120 acres as a family, all paid for. All right, but I stated this: we'll learn to grow a garden worth more than lifeless gold. Build our new communities and our new borders. Well, now we're going to have communities in this region. It is a nation. It will be a nation. Mark my words. I'm not prophesying anything. I'm just telling you the truth. It's already happened. It's been in process for many decades. The Father has created this place. At creation, He designed this and created this region perfectly as a gigantic nation. It's 10 times larger than the nation of Switzerland. People, do you understand what I'm saying? The Ozark Plateau is 10 times larger than the region of Switzerland that is occupied. In other words, when I say 10 times larger, Switzerland is about 15 million square miles. Look it up. Only 1/3 of that is occupied because most of it's vertical, right? Alps or slopes like this. You can't live on, not too many people live on slopes like that. You can raise goats, you can be Heidi and raise goats and live in a little chalet, little Swiss chalet, cottage, whatever. But it's on the side of a mountain that's pretty vertical. So most of the population lives on 5,000 square miles. The Ozark Plateau is 50,000 square miles, and it is hundreds of times more wealthy than Switzerland. Yes, Switzerland has a lot of gold, but the Ozark Plateau has something better than gold, and that's gardens, that's food, that is water. There's water underneath the entire region. The entire region, you can drill a well anywhere you want and have water. There's 2.5 billion gallons of water coming out of the ground every day, and fresh water. There's trout here. Where do you think Colorado gets its trout from, people? It gets it from the Ozarks. It gets it from Missouri. Crystal Lakes Fish Hatchery, Bennett Springs, Roaring River, and others raise trout and ship them to Colorado. So wake up. Listen to me for once. People haven't listened to me for squat. And now it's coming down to the pike. Joseph has been in prison. He's been beaten, thrown in the pit, sold into slavery, and been in prison. That's where I've been for 20 years now. And the time is coming that I'm going to be out of prison. So listen to me, please. Time to wake up. I did not know that the Ozark Plateau existed when I wrote this. I didn't know what it was. I had no idea. But I stated this. We'll learn to grow a garden worth more than lifeless gold. Build our new communities and our new borders hold. I didn't know there were borders, but there are. It's almost completely surrounded by borders of rivers. Very big rivers, very wide rivers. Rivers that, if things happen, if things change as they continue to, do you think Antifa and BLM are going to stop at killing a few white people? They're going to blow bridges. They're going to drop water towers. You're not going to have any drinking water in the cities. That's one of the first things they do. Listen to Pastor Joe Fox. Get on Patreon. Pay his $3 and listen to him. He knows what special forces people do. The first thing you do is you go blow up the well. When we lived in Kansas, there was a water tower right out. We could see it right out the window of our classroom that we lived in. And the special forces guy that we lived with said, when things fall apart, the first thing I'm going to do is go blow that water tower and drop it. And I'm like, what the hell would you do that for? Because it keeps the cops busy and then I can do what I need to do. So that's what they do for a living. They've been trained to do it. They know what to do. They know why they're doing it. Cut your losses, burn your bridges. You better do it now because there won't be any bridges later. Don't look back. Escape the fire. Put your hand upon the plow. It takes some time to settle in, be trusted, learn the ropes. We must build a house and grow some crops if we're to live our hearts. Listen, people, if you're the only person in your family, if you're the black sheep of the family, the only one that's awake, and I have had literally over 1,000 people tell me to my face, in person, on the phone, and in letters, and in emails, and to my face, I'm the only one in my family, I'm the only one in my church, I'm the only one in my community that's waking up and that's doing anything prepared. That's because Father said, I will bring the one of a family, two of a nation to Zion. Okay, you are the chosen. If you are awake, you're the chosen one to build ark and to build a beachhead, to establish a beachhead for your family. Now get your butt out here and do it. Wake up, sell everything you have, and make the move. It takes time to learn where to buy eggs and where to get this and that. It takes time to be trusted. You got to get out and work. you're not going to work, you're not going to be trusted, you're not going to be worth anything. That's about it for now. A lot of this other, I was in the rest of this I'm going to read anyway, so I'm going to keep going here. Adventures are funny things. They offer dark, uncertain times, forks in the road, and choices between comfort and peril. And in such times, heroes can be made or undone, but never alone, okay? Heroes arise. It's time for heroes to arise. You can be a hero or you can be a worm. You can be a worthless person, cower, and suck your thumb and crawl into the bed and stick your head in the sand. But you know what? Remember Forrest Gump? You can stick your head in between the ties of the railroad track and you won't see the train a-coming, but your butt is still gonna get run over. This is how I felt for so long. I can't do this, Sam. I know. It's all wrong. By rights, we shouldn't even be here, but we are. It's like in the great stories, Mr. Frodo, the ones that really mattered. Full of darkness and danger they were, and sometimes you didn't want to know the end, because how could the end be happy? How could the world go back to the way it was when so much bad had happened? But in the end, it's only a passing thing, this shadow. Even darkness must pass. A new day will come, and when the sun shines, it will shine out the clearer. Those were the stories that stayed with you, that meant something, even if you're too small to understand why. But I think, Mr. Frodo, I do understand. I know now. Folk in those stories had lots of chances of turning back, only they didn't. They kept going because they were holding on to something. And Frodo's like, he can't hear him talk. He's like, what are we holding on to, Sam? That there's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo, and it's worth fighting for. Sorry. I'm going to center that, screenshot that, look it up, find the song. It's a hymn. It's from a Psalms Only hymn, Psalter. But Carl Klang, a Patriot singer from way back, sings it. For a long time, I just called it the song. It was so awesome. This is what's going to happen. This psalm, Psalm 83, you can look that up. There's a lot of videos and writings on the Psalm 83 where they think it's going to be over there in Israel. It's not. It's going to be here. It's going to be right here in the Ozarks. That's what the final bastion, the final stand. I'm trying to make it, get it in the screen. Come on. A bit bigger. Ah, come on. Accidentally screenshot, I don't know why. Ah, come on. Oh man, okay. So there, I'm not going to read that because my voice is going, but screenshot that, read it. Go to the link there, Archhaven. But make sure you go to the web archive. Yeah, don't read that one. That doesn't have my real stuff on it. The other one, that's a bogus page now. Phony crap that Ken put in there because he didn't want to have my information in there because I had done videos about flat Earth, about the real cosmology of the world. Chuck Baldwin. I recommend this article, Chuck Baldwin. The American Readout. You should check this out. And then Eric Vaught's assessment of why move to Missouri. Better by magnitudes than the Smith, Rawls, Bald, and Skousen morons. Skousen wrote a book, The Strategic Relocation in America. There's nothing strategic in the book. It's all just tactical bullshit. I said at Westwood Rawls, I said it's not worth much more than the paper. They've used this paper in the smallest room of your house behind you. He didn't take that well. Oh well. At least got a response from whoever it was. Was strategic location now Jerry's North American Guide to Get to Goshen? How to get to Goshen, people. I have a series called Maps of the Ozark Plateau, How to Get to Goshen. There's people here because of that series. strategic relocation, third edition, the long-awaited all-new third edition with colored state maps now in print and available for purchase. Buy that book, fill it with little post-it notes, and read it, and think of it as a Bible that is actually worth something more than just using it as toilet paper. And you'll be in a place where you're going to die instead of being here in the Ozark Plateau. So irritating. The one person that read everything I sent and digested it, understood it, and read it, and regurgitated it back, came out and visited, and I went with him to look for several properties. And guess what? They ended up moving to another place, and I think it's because of that book. That book is, I wish it had never been written. Deeds are about to be done which before have never been seen by people who know their God, are steadfast, strong, and serene. In the event of a total breakdown, there has to be enough of a homogeneous, like-minded, or unified population base to care for itself. You must have water, food production, a favorable terrain, and many other things. Not too many areas of the country qualify as enough. Not too many areas of the world qualify as such. And you have to have about 25% of your population base left. I think that's about all we're going to have. Oh, come on, now. Why is the thing that's being so squirrely? Not usually like that. No idea. All right. So much death and destruction is going to happen that it's going to happen will happen specifically because of the survivalist mentality. I have come to see that it is so damaging because it holds up this carrot that you can stay in Babylon until the last second. People are constantly saying, I have people write me, I'm prepping, I got to get prepping, I'm prepping, I'm prepping. Prepping's going to do you no good at all because you're not going to be able to move the shit. People that have cases of toilet paper, if you can't fit everything that you need to, as a prepper in your car, you're screwed because you're going to have to leave it. So just take it somewhere else. That's what I did. I took my whole family and went somewhere else. You need to go to your bug out location and live there. If you can't survive there, too bad. If you don't have a bug out location, then you're screwed anyway. Okay, so damaging because it holds up this carrot that you can stay in Babylon until the last second, slopping around with all the rest of the turkey farm inmates, because that's all you are as an inmate, you're a prisoner. And then poofy presto, somebody waves a magic wand and you dodge the millions of other refugees. Lack of food, water, societal veneer of law and order, read monitors, gangsters, Satanists, etc., cannibals. Dodge the military roadblocks and patrols and evade the starving, hysterical, depraved, and selfish cretins also on the road with your little family. And you're going to magically make it to paradise unscathed with no deaths, rapes, or other horrors and atrocities. I call bullshit. That ain't going to happen. And I realized that. I read about 200 or 300 books and I was like, this is hopeless. I got to get my family out of here. And I hated Denver anyway, so we got out. Those survivalist teachers who have propagated that mentality, which is a selfish, destructive, and short-sighted one, I can hang on to the last minute and accumulate all this crap, and then I can be able to take it all and go somewhere, will have perhaps done more damage in the final analysis to the tens of thousands of families than had they never put pen to paper or spoken a word on the airwaves. Perhaps. Time will tell. Survivalists were the ones leaving bloody fingernail marks on the gopher wood outside. The survivors were inside warm and dry. In fact, I will not be surprised if it does not turn out to be a very similar case again in these days, as it was in the days of Noah. I remember reading that somewhere. It shall be as it was in the days of Noah. One watchword on the ramparts, one watchword on the walls. None falls if Zion lives. None lives if Zion falls. And this is Zion, in my estimation. If it's not, none shall hurt or destroy in all my holy mountain. How many mountains are there over in this little piece of crap real estate over there that you people worship so badly, so much? What's over there? How many mountains? How big mountain? This region, this 50,000 square mile mountain, used to be a lot bigger. The Indian tribe in Arkansas that carried the ark, Ansa, and you look up Ansa in Hebrew, carrier, bearer. Ansa. These Indians were named Ansa for a reason. They said that if it goes back in time, that the mountain used to be larger, that it was split in the middle, and half of it, part of it went to the north and part of it went to the south. Does that sound familiar, people? Do you think that's a coincidence that the Ouachita Mountains look are constructed just like the Ozarks, and that there's a big river valley in between? That's the only single solitary river valley like that in the entire Earth, that it can be seen from hundreds of miles out above it. I would say in outer space, but there is no such thing. Okay? No, it's not a coincidence. Hebrew is present tense. It doesn't say his feet will stand. It says his feet are standing on Mount Olives, and half will go to the north and half will go to the south. Just wake up. Now there are new paradigms coming to play as we speak. While our utmost hope and victory is in Almighty God, that does not mean that there will not be a lot of lead flying. However, there are other powers and technologies. The U.S. military has many new energy and frequency-driven weapons. It is not beyond imagination that our God is fully capable of giving us tools, or at least the ability of protecting us from those weapons of the enemy. It is happening in the health arena at lightning speed. Ground, earthing, free healing energy of all kinds. Why not in the fields of healing, protection, and communication? In wrath, remember mercy, the prophet Habakkuk pled. Their judgments are our blessings, is how that could be read. Were not 3 million people by plagues from Egypt freed? May we by Yahweh's catastrophes from Babylon us lead. Yea, it would be wise to heed the writing on the wall, relocate our families before the empires fall. We'll learn to grow a garden worth more than lifeless gold, build our new communities and our new borders hold. Except the Lord of hosts had left us a very small remnant, VSR, very special reserve, very small remnant. We should have been as Sodom, and we would have been like unto Gomorrah. Isaiah 1:9, read that, memorize it. There will be a remnant, a tithe. Beyond that, I will recommend reading some sources. Until you do, you have no earthly idea of what is coming at us. And listen to this. What I foresee and plan for is not the first few hours or days after shit hits the fan. These writers can't see. All they can see is like, someday things are going to change and it's going to get violent and I'm going to shoot people. And I'm going to plan on eating people. That's all they can think about. Us four no more. Shoot first, ask questions later. We deal with long pork, Talk about eating people right off the bat. That's what survivalists are. The survivalist movement and mentality is so drastically short-sighted it will be fatal to many, if not most, of its adherents. It would be very wise to get beyond the self-centered, vulgar hype of us four and no more. Let me ask you this, people. Seriously, think about this. Dare you think God knows less of war than the pagan writers on Sioux? Do you think he will wage a war with all of his forces in view? If you think that, you are a fool and you don't worship the same God I worship. Take counsel together and it shall come to naught. Speak the word, and it shall not stand, for God is with us. For the Lord spake thus unto me with a strong hand, and instructed me that I should not walk in the ways of this people, saying, Say ye not a confederacy to all them to whom this people shall say, a confederacy. Neither fear ye their fear, nor be afraid. Sanctify the Lord of hosts himself, and let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. And he shall be for a sanctuary, and for a stone of stumbling, and for a rock of offense to both the houses of Israel, for a gin and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And many among them shall stumble and fall, and be broken, and be snared, and be taken. If you're worried about what they're doing, the New World Order, the Illuminati, if all you can talk about is what they're doing, you're not on the same page. We should be talking every day about what our Father's doing, what God's doing, because he's doing some magnificent things. If you don't see them, if you're worried about what they're doing, if you're fearing what they're doing, you're a fool. Because the fool says, the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. If you don't fear God and understand that it's wise to fear God, and if you're fearing something other than God, if you're fearing men and worried about what men are doing, you are not worshiping God. To continue, I am looking past the first few hours and days after shit hits the fan to economic collapse, civil breakdown, civil war, and at some point invasion on all sides, both coasts, both borders, as well as earth changes and disasters such as the Gulf spill happening now, volcanoes, earth, that kind of dates this for you. Volcanoes, earthquakes, etc., tornadoes, hurricanes, all that good stuff. derecho winds, polar vortexes and snow bombs and blizzard bombs and all that's all going to happen. Get away from the coast, get away from the borders. 500 miles from Canada, 500 miles from Mexico, 500 miles from the Rockies, and 500 miles from the Appalachians is a wonderfully, mystically, majestically, I would say almost magically protected, divinely protected region of safety called the land of Goshen, Zion. Come over here. What it will come down to is this: unless every one of us within this region do everything in our power to help those who are casualties as these things begin to happen, it will be impossible for any of us to survive. Every last one of us could be killed. I do not believe that will happen. I do believe we will rise to the occasion and have help from above and be triumphant, but the cost will be great. And except Yahweh had shortened those days, no flesh should be saved. But for the elect's sake, whom he hath chosen, he hath shortened the days. And that's like almost Hebrew there, because it's has. He is doing it. He has shortened the days. He's shortened the days, okay? Very few will be true survivors. I believe that it is possible that there will not be any survivalists among the survivors, if that makes any sense. Because if you're a survivalist, you're selfish, and selfishness will either be transformed into altruism and to unselfish love of the brethren, or selfishness will kill itself. It is divine law, pure and simple. Many of those who have the survivalist mentality will essentially eliminate themselves due to selfishness, stupidity, and short-sightedness. Some may survive physically while being dead spiritually. If you plan on killing people to protect yourself, you're dead. You are committed murder already in your heart, and it is wrong to murder. It's okay to defend your family, but if you're just chomping at the bit to kill somebody, you're going to pull the trigger on somebody that you shouldn't have pulled the trigger on. And I will tell you this: you will burn in hell, because you're going to be damned. Your soul will be damned. Whether you believe in hell or not, you'll be damned, and you'll be eternally separated from God once you commit murder, unless you repent. Even though a tenth of its people remain in it, it will once again be burned like a terebinth or an oak tree, the stump of which, though the tree has been felled, still contains holy seed. This is key, people. Holy seed. The scepter, the scion, the seed, the branch, the root of the stem of Jesse, shall not depart from Judah, from the praising of Yahweh. I won't finish it. Read it for yourself. But read the Hebrew, don't read the English. Will never last this coming wrath unless our storage food abound, and that is meat upon the hoof and crops within the ground. It is not just for us, for no more from our stores we'll have to draw. Shan't we our brothers' keepers be, thus obeying Bible law? Would Joseph have been blessed of God with an attitude like that, see the world starve to death while only the rich grew fat? But no, in blessing all the world, he reached his own family too. Thus saved all Israel from death and received the double birthright too. If you are a Joseph if you're the Joseph of your family, you'd better get on the ball and get serious, get it done, get out here and help. Read Civil War II by Tom Chittum. Read George Washington's Vision. Read a little history. Read the Bible. Ezekiel 38 and 39. And Ezekiel 38 and 39 is about here. It's about America. It's not about some little piece of crap real estate over there in the Middle East. It is about a nation. It's about the land of the people of Israel. A multitude of people who have been gathered from all the nations of the earth, living in cities, a peaceable multitude, a peaceable people, living in cities without bars or gates. The people, not the government, the people. There are 42 gates in Jerusalem, locks and bars and gates. If you think that's Jerusalem, you're an idiot. Okay? There's only one nation in the entire world that Ezekiel 38 and 39 describes, and that's America. Because by the time war came here, cannons had antiquated walls and castles. There's the odd castle here, but cities are not defended by walls here because walls are worthless. This is the new world. Read a geological assessment of American survival. Hell, read the news, because that's what's coming, people. Hell. And the people in this country have only one place to go. The safe places of the country, safe areas of the country, 5 or 6. White Mountains, Cumberland Plateau. There's a few halfway decently places, but according to common sense, geography, terrain, water, surface, ground, and rainfall dictates for survival, plate tectonics, economics, demographics, military strategy and tactics, George Washington vision, world history, Bible prophecy, secular history, mathematics, astronomy, physics 101. The facts, all of them, from every science and every discipline, every bit of history, every century, every continent, the facts, all of them point to the same exact conclusion. There will be one major safe haven, the major safe haven, the largest area of refuge, the land of Goshen. There will be many minor and temporary ones around the world in this country. That designated area of protection will be the largest divinely protected area, perhaps on the entire, I used to say plane, I didn't say planet, will be that part of the U.S. interior highlands called the Ozark Plateau, that completely separate bioregion, different in the peoples inhabiting it, the terrain, the aquifers below it, the electrical potential within it for free energy, and the 4 billion gallons of ice-cold fresh water surging from springs every day. This ancient mountain, look at Wikipedia, it is a single mountain. The dome is the peak of the dome is the St. Francis Mountains in Missouri. This ancient mountain was designed at creation as a gargantuan castle defense fortress, which in a medieval setting, it even was designed with an almost perfectly circular moat around it in the form of the 4 rivers which are flowing out of it. There is only one determining factor as to how big the final radius of the area will be, and that is how many righteous, courageous people arrive before it is time to circle the wagons. And it's getting time to circle the wagons here very shortly, people. And I believe that radius is going to be about 120 miles, which is about right where all those river valleys surround it. So I'm looking at 100, because that's good farmland. So if you're south of the Missouri River, west of the Mississippi River, north of the Arkansas River, and east of the rivers the fingers that go out, they're not quite circular, but they go out to the west, north and west of the Ozark Plateau. That's where that's the circular region around it. I hit a blah. Tired. Is there any more goodies in here? David Nona Grant, screenshot this. Pastor and his wife they were at my daughter's wedding, Anna's wedding. I was in Roaring River, Castle, Missouri with Greg Evans and with Vincent Xavier, New Wine Ministries. I attended 2 refugee symposiums with Ken Updegrove. First at Devil's Den, second at Skyview Lodge. The gathering and the blow-up meeting, the ungathering. This is what you're supposed to do when you're babbling. You're not supposed to fight, you're not supposed to rebel, you're not supposed to go try to make alliances with other people. Build ye houses, dwell in them, and plant gardens, eat the fruit of them. Take ye wives, beget sons and daughters. Take wives for your sons, and give your daughters to husbands, that you may bear sons and daughters, that you may be increased here, there, and not diminished. And seek the peace of the city whither I have caused you to be carried away captives, and pray unto the Yahweh for it. For in the peace thereof you shall have peace. It's Nona has now passed away, but she told me, she said, why would somebody run off to another company and not stay here and see the show? And that's been my attitude for many years. Oh my gosh. Screenshot this. The word Misuri, Misuri, Miseri is Egypt in Hebrew. Most people that are Torah toters know that Egypt, the word anything like Egypt is not in the Bible. It's MITSRAIM. And the transliteration for that is Miseri or Misuri. And that is in my family motto. And that word MITSRAIM always means two things: double defense, double distress, and double defense. Look at the Missouri State motto. It's even in the Missouri State motto. There's two bears with their paws coming over the top of the circular region, and their feet are almost, pointing at each other underneath the circular region. Don't count God out of the game till soon. Everybody's doing that. They're cutting and running, and they don't trust God at all. They're just running for fear, and they're trying to save their own lives. It's so stupid, selfish. And here's where we're at. For Shiloh soon is to return, whose right it is to rule. He'll crush the nations with his law, and in righteousness a school. It falls to Joseph. You're a Joseph. You're listening to me. You're a Joseph. Once again, to Savior all the rest. Thus the entire world looks on as we begin the test. Our test begins right now to use what we thought we owned, to build a kingdom we can't yet see with what God to us has loaned, to lay our every resource down in sacrifice before his feet will seem as nothing when at last the nail-scarred man we meet. He will not own you then if you do not own him now. Obey his word, escape the world, and yes, begin to plow. If with his image our children will fill up all the world, the millennial kingdom will have come, his glorious banner unfurled. Okay, I don't think I'm going to finish that one up there. So, screenshot that if you want. This is basically my feeble words. This is what I've been doing. There are very few people I know, and I can name them on one hand, who even begin to understand the big picture that I see. I will try to convey a little bit of that picture, a pencil sketch on a notebook paper, so to speak, not an oil on canvas Rembrandt or Van Gogh, but here goes. Hope this helps. I don't know who wrote that. Not sure who wrote that one. These were articles written by different people. Why Missouri or North Carolina? That was a question on this group for a while. I'll try to hold this pause so you can screenshot it. One of them was written by Eric Vaught, who's was Pentagon level, worked at the Pentagon. Missouri actually has a chance, however small, of becoming nearly self-sufficient. The mix of solar, wind, and often water energy potential here is nearly ideal for small off-grid systems, and there are local businesses producing components. Political element in North Carolina, by contrast, are very much opposed to small local business and to people not owned by their corporations getting uppity. Wish I'd put their names on. So there are trade-offs, but I think Missouri and Southwest Missouri specifically has a significant edge. Here's another one. I can't answer for Jerry, and he's already answered for himself anyway, but I can let you in on my process in choosing Missouri. First, I knocked out all coastal states. Global warming will cause sea level to rise. Now, you might think that doesn't affect you if they don't live within 50 miles of water, but the states need to defend the coastline from the ocean. I looked at a lot of tornado maps and knocked out states that had a lot of trouble with tornadoes. Interestingly enough, Missouri had a big hole in the tornado maps. The edges of the state get hit, but not much in the middle of the state. Give you a nice peaceful earthquake any day over the week over tornadoes. California natives actually think earthquakes are fun. Gives you something to talk about while making friends with strangers. It's like a amusement park ride that comes to you in line with no traffic, no expensive admission price. They don't do that much damage, and very few people are killed. Tornadoes scared the bejesus out of me. I scarcely considered Arkansas, but I just couldn't see living in a state that spawned Bill Clinton. I think this might have been Eric Vaught. I'm not sure. A lot of involuntary suicides in Arkansas and all that. Kazakhstan. Yeah, that's Harriet. Yeah, she's a very old lady in North Carolina. Stonehaven, if you're in North Carolina. Okay, I'm going to call that one quits. This is Jerry Diamond. If you're listening to this, you are the remnant. Okay? Come on and help me. I got some help finally. Pray for Alice or pray for me. I want to be able to go to this Crestone Energy Fair. Hallelujah. I don't care when you listen to this. When you read this video, when you see this video, listen to me and pray for me. I don't care if it's 30 years from now. Time means nothing to God. All right. This is Jerry Diamond. If you're listening to this, you are the remnant. I'm looking at you. You're the remnant. You need to come out and help. I'm calling people here. Get here. Get a family. Get your families. Beachhead established. Build your family's ark. Get here. Help. Bring everything you can. Ship it ahead. Send it. I'll just give you an address. Goodbye.